Hello there.
Today's D&D topic, Halflings. Now, when I think of Halflings, I think of hobbits, mainly because they used to be hobbits. This is some art from back in 2nd edition. As you can see, it's a blatant reference to the Lord of the Rings. But then there were some legal issues, so they changed things a bit. Nowadays, Halflings look like this. In Dungeons & Dragons, the Halfling race was created by the goddess Yondala, but there are a few different versions of the origin myth. In one, she gave birth to the first Halflings without a father. She did so because the other gods were making fun of her for having no children of her own. In order to shut them up, she popped out a kid. Another story has that Yondala is actually just an adopted mother for the Halflings. She stumbled upon them. They were hiding from some big folk that they had just played a prank on. She took pity on the little rascals and decided to give them her protection. The last story, and probably the true version of what happened, says that Yondala created the first Halflings from what she considered were the best qualities of the other peoples. She gathered mirth from the Fae, grace from the elves, stoutness from the dwarves, boldness from the orcs, and plentifulness, aka horniness, from the humans. The other gods got really upset about this, though, claiming that Yondala had essentially stolen their intellectual property, and demanded justice. The punishment they decided on has two parts. One, unlike the other races, Halflings would have no claim to a homeland. They'd have to depend on the kindness of others. And two, that Yondala had to remove her thieving nature physically from her godly being. But gods are weird, and when Yondala removed all of her quote-unquote bad qualities, they formed a whole new entity called Dala Thaun, who quickly hid in Yondala's shadow and was unnoticed by the other gods. To this day, only Halflings know about Dala Thaun, the vengeful, lying, thieving mother bear persona of Yondala, who will do whatever she needs to protect her people. Now, as for the Halflings themselves, there are 4 basic types of Halfling, and one more that's a bit more obscure. Ghostwise Halflings are known for being barbarians and being obsessed with things like family and clan. They're a bit xenophobic and rather rare. They're also known for having telepathic powers and sometimes riding giant owls. These owl riders are known as night gliders. There's also the Lightfoot Halfling, which is the most common type of Halfling. They're known for being friendly, affable, full of wanderlust, and a little bit fickle. In other words, they're basically Merry and Pippin. Though it should be noted that while Lightfoots are known for being charming and striking up quick friendships or even courtships, these relationships typically don't last very long. The Halflings themselves blame it on their wanderlust, while the people that they abandon are left feeling rather bitter about the whole affair. Slight side note, most Lightfoots grow to be about 3 foot tall, but some get to be 4 feet, and these are known as tall fellows. Next up, we have the Stronghearts, also known as Stout Halflings. They're industrious and martial. They value cooperation above everything else. Additionally, the Stout Halflings put a great emphasis on quality over quantity. They like the good wine, the good food. This means that some look down on them, thinking that they're lazy and picky. But according to themselves, they're just patient. They're willing to wait for something that's better. And since that's their attitude, it shouldn't be too big of a surprise that they get along best with dwarves, whereas the Lightfoots get along with everyone. Recently, due to the success of Critical Role, another type of Halfling has come into canon, the Lotus Den. These folk are as reclusive as the Ghostwise Halflings, but instead of telepathy have innate woodland magic. Honestly, there isn't a ton of lore known about these guys. They're basically just hermits and hippies. And then there's the most obscure type of Halfling, the Anadian. The reason they're so obscure is because they're from a different planet called Anadia. Anadia being the planet closest to the sun, so it's basically D&D's version of Mercury. These alien Halflings are known for being resistant to magic and very ferocious. But personality-wise, they're best known for being adamant about every single thing. By which I mean that they are willing to argue their opinion over anything. It's all the same stakes. So they're basically any troll that you find on the internet. And before I end the video, I just want to wrap things up with an interesting quote that I found. First, there were dragons, then dwarves, then elves, then humans. Now it's our turn. That's apparently an old halfling saying, which to me sounds a bit ominous and mildly threatening, which I think is interesting. It's a different take on what we consider a happy-go-lucky race, very much in line with their goddess's secret persona. Just imagine it. Simultaneously, all the halflings go on an uprising, and they're known for being spattered among the other communities. Elf, human, dwarf, whatever. We would have never seen it coming. And they knew that. They planned that. See you next time!
Bye, everybody!